Welcome to Do or Die. In today's interview, I'm glad to have Juno Field, who is a former sprinter and a qualified level 3 sprints and long jump stroke triple jump coach. I first met Juno at Lady Wall's athletics track in Catford. While I was doing a steady run, I heard a voice say, "Run tall." This advice still remains significant in my own training and development, particularly in distance running where form can become compromised as fatigue begins to settle in. I've always found Juno to be approachable, helpful, and insightful. His advice comes from many decades within athletics as well as health and fitness. So, thanks for taking out the time, Coach. So if you can just start off, Coach, by telling us, when did you get into athletics?
Since I was 12, 13 or so, in the local area, because I went to school around here. And I played rugby initially, and I also did athletics. And I took up athletics quite intensely from that age. And I thought, why don't I try and be the fastest man in the world? And anyway, I didn't become, because I left school at 16 and things like that. So then I thought, well, okay, there are lots of guys around and girls around the area that are at a loose end. I thought I'd try and help them. So I took my coaching exams, level 1 being the first one, and then a year later, level 2, and then so on, ending up to be a level 3. I would join in with all the athletes I coached, the boys and the girls at the back. I would obviously keep an eye on them from that point of view.
When I first started, I was just running. I didn't have no particular structure with regards to my training. So my question to you is, how do you sort of plan your training?
How do I plan? Firstly, we have periodization, which is the normal thing that most coaches should do anyway, from October time, making sure your injuries are okay and you get those repaired, and then we start to run slowly and gradually build up on speeds and doing various things, and obviously again build up on various things towards the springtime.
So what would a training block look like?
I tend to plan 6-week sessions, and that develops as well. Initially when we start off with perhaps 2 sessions a week, and then 3 after about a month, and then 4, and eventually we end up doing 4, 5 or 6 sessions in a week.
Talk about an athlete that you've coached to GB standards.
She was 17, 18 at the time. She's started off not seemingly extremely talented, but did the work and had the mental strength and everything else to do that. She became county champion, then in the first 3 for the national. She ran for GB in the 200 metres and the 4x4 relay.
What competitions does she compete at?
The Europa Cup, which it was at the time, and competed several times for Great Britain and England.
Can you describe maybe a client who had some weight issues, or he wanted to lose weight, and how you went about it?
This young lad, he was 17 at the time, and he was 120 kgs 18 months ago, and he's probably about 5'10", so he's not particularly tall, and he tried everything him and his parents had tried everything to lose weight, and he came down, and over the last 18 months, I think he's now down to just under 100, which still isn't a lot, because he's a bit of a sweeter. We chat to him about diets. Obesity, for me, it's about exercise, and it's about what you eat as well, what you put in your mouth, and the amount you put in your mouth. And the answer is to combine both of those things together.
So what would you say the main issue is?
A lot of us tend to like sugar, and that's a huge problem. Sweet things, we tend to eat sweets while we're at school or on the buses and things, and we don't necessarily need so much sugar, because there's lots of sugar in fruit and apples and pears and all of those bits and pieces. So those are the things that we really need to sort out, is the amount of sugar intake and exercise.
So what did the program look like?
I took him for twice a week for the last 18 months, and I still do. He couldn't even walk properly because he was pretty large, and now to watch him run 2 laps of the track It's absolutely incredible, really, at his own pace, admittedly.
What type of exercises did he do?
I'd start off by just doing drills with him. I'd do simple things like things that most athletes do now, bum kicks, high knees, things that he couldn't do. And I started off by doing things like that, and skips and things like that. And then gradually I went through 1 kg medicine balls at him from left to right, 2 kg, and then we just built and built. And now I think he's up to something like 5 kg medicine ball, doing all sorts of things with them.
So what would you say were the noticeable improvements?
He started running by himself now, which is a great thing, you know, which hopefully I've installed a lifelong thing inside him. So hopefully he'll carry on doing the right things in the sense of certainly exercise. If he started running by himself, and I'm madly under pressure trying to stop him eating so many sweets and things like that.
If you could change anything in health and fitness, what would it be?
You should be encouraged, I say made to do PE, because I think people just don't do enough exercise, and we jump on buses for 2 stops rather than walking, all of those things, bits and pieces. And if you encourage people to do, I think that's one of the first things the country, the government, Prime Minister, the government should do, is to encourage people to do more exercise, and we just don't. And in schools firstly, and PlayStations, computers are great, but we need to walk and run and kick a ball or whatever a lot more than we do.
What would you say are your proudest achievements?
Is when I coached all the group at my early 20s, when we were all county championships finals, and I was in the finals with 2 or 3 of my own group, which was good luck, good luck, good luck, and good luck coach, if that's word for it. But I think that's probably my proudest achievement. I suppose the second is getting my first international. Everyone wants to coach an international, and everyone wants to see people do really well that has grown up with you. But I think probably over the years I've managed to achieve people to the nationals as well, which is quite an achievement. So coaching's gone really well from that point of view.
Who would you say is the greatest sports person ever? So this is not based on personality, but based on performance alone.
Gosh, where do I start? I think currently it's got to be Bolt. And I still can't believe he ran 9:58 only for 80 meters, in my opinion. He ran 80 meters of that 100 meters, and now he's managed to run at that speed. I don't know. It goes back further. I look at people that I've read about and seen on TV, Muhammad Ali, lots and lots of proud people, you know. And at the time, watching the races between Seb and Yvette, things like that, all of those things have been incredible for me.
So what about injustice in sports?
I think Ben Johnson's a bit of an injustice personally, because as I said, he was pulled out for taking too much drugs. I remember travelling down from Loughborough with his coach, and he actually asked me what my athletes took, and I said, nothing, just training and good food. And he said, you're never going to get anywhere like that. Charlie Francis actually told me that. I drove him down from Loughborough to Crystal Palace, and I said, oh right, okay. My sport seems to be the one that gets dragged through the drug system, and I think if drugs be the word, I think there's a lot more drugs in other sports than we really know about. And people must look at themselves really when they talk about that, athletics, and how much drugs are in it or not.
What would you say are the indicators?
When you see someone that's ran a 20-year world record, and you think, that's not possible. And it takes that long. And every month, every week, another super drug comes out. And if they're not on basic drugs, they're right on the periphery of it all. So the technology of it all is so huge. They're able to do things like that.
So final question, coach, from an individual sort of point of view. I don't have a coach. At present, I never had one. But I do get advice from yourself when you have the time. Also, I use the media as well. I speak to other runners for some advice, and that's what my training is based around. So my question to you is, what would you say is the importance of having a coach?
Every morning that I see you at the track, I go, wow, you haven't got anyone trailing you or in front of you or whatever. And to be going some of the speeds you do sometimes, I go, whoa. I think there's great advantages to having a coach firstly. Perhaps not every day of the week, perhaps, for instance, I couldn't be with you every day of the week, but for advice, for ideas. And coaches tend to be quite experienced over the years. They've either run, jump or thrown. They've done something, so they know their way around athletics and sports. For me, I would want a coach, because sometimes, number one is, the coach is here and you go, oh, well, I don't feel like it tonight. But because I'm here, you'll come down. Simple things like, Theo, stand up. Theo, you're not picking your feet up. You're shuffling along the ground. What's the matter with you? Oh, I've been out all night last night, coach, or whatever. Theo, work your arms a bit more. We're not going to do 400s tonight. We're going to do 200s, which is going to be a bit quicker than you do, perhaps with a minute recovery and things like that.
Thank you very much, Coach Juno, for your time. And thank you for watching Do or Die. I hope you found that useful. Juno has got an extensive background with regards to athletics and health and fitness in general. And stay tuned for more interviews. Do or Die.